Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss movies in this channel. So today I thought I would sit down and talk to you guys about everything that I watched in the month of July.
It's coffee time!
So the month only has 2 days left and we're gonna be on the road. We're going to Germany. There's a couple of things that we need to arrange there, and I'm also gonna be picking up all the movies that I had on hold in Germany still, so I might be doing a movie haul soon. And so I thought, I'm not gonna really watch any more movies until the end of the month, so I might as well just sit down and let you guys know what I did watch in the month of July. So this month I feel like I haven't watched too many movies or too many horror movies. Also not many horror shows. I feel like I have been so busy with content and other things and work, but nevertheless, let's see what I managed to watch in July. The first thing that we went to the movies to watch in the month of July is a beautiful movie called Minions: The Rise of Gru, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, it is hard not to love this film because it is just so fun and entertaining. I know that the franchise has been milking the Minions a little bit. Despicable Me started being not just about the Minions, but they realized that everybody loved them so much that they did the spin-off movies, and to be honest, I'm still not tired of them. Of course, there are some jokes that are slightly recycled from the franchise, but I still had so much fun, and still, the basic jokes are the ones that work best. So in this movie, we have a group called the Vicious Six, which are really bad villains that are trying to steal a certain necklace because it's gonna give them extreme powers. And so the Minions somehow get in the middle of it all and Gru is in danger. So that's basically what happens, and here we are following the Minions as they've already discovered Gru and are helping him to become a supervillain. So yeah, I really loved it. I really enjoyed a new minion that they added called Otto. I think he was hilarious, but my favorite is still and always will be Bob. And after this beautiful movie, we just changed rooms to the next movie, and this one was such a pain, and that is Jurassic World Dominion. Now, let's be honest, I didn't go with any expectations at all. I just hoped that at least I would have a good time. The truth is, it was so boring. I was just counting the minutes for the movie to end. Now, I know that they did bring back some of the characters from the first movie, Jurassic Park, and of course I'm always excited to see them. Jurassic Park is part of my childhood. It is one of the first movies that I watched in the cinema with my dad, and I really enjoyed and got really into the franchise. And it hurts my feelings a little bit as well at the same time to see them, because this movie is just not good enough for them. And yeah, so basically I'm never going to rewatch the Jurassic World movies. I have tried, but they are really messy. This last movie was all over the place. It was really boring and it was just insufferable. Like, honestly, it was really bad. If you're interested to know what Dominion is about, it's basically taking place 4 years after the last film, and basically after the dinosaurs managed to escape, now there is a new world order and humans have been trying to live together with the dinosaurs, but obviously who is the predator and who is the food. We are the food. So they are trying to find a solution for this. This movie was so bad. Anyways, just don't watch it if you didn't love the first one and the second one, because I was already kind of bored and over with the franchise with Jurassic World 1 and 2, and this one didn't fix anything at all. Then I watched a documentary on Netflix that is a short documentary. I believe it's only 1 hour long, and it's called Ollie Alexander's Growing Up Gay. This is a documentary in which the frontman of the band Years and Years is basically explaining how he dealt with being a gay teen, coming out, how he dealt with bullying because of his sexuality. It kind of explores how the members of the LGBTQ plus community most of the time also struggle with mental health, and I really love to see that. It was a very, you know, intimate, kind of like really simple documentary but effective at the same time. So if you're interested at all, you know, I do recommend you to check it out. Moving on to a horror movie that I wanted to catch up with, and is one that I had my doubts I was gonna love it or not, and that is Seance. At an elite boarding school for girls, 6 friends jokingly engage in a late night ritual calling forth the spirit of a dead former student who reportedly haunts their halls. Before morning, one of the girls is dead, and that is where everything starts. And I can see that they were trying here to bring back those slashers from the 90s a little bit, that kind of flavor. And, you know, there were parts of this film that I enjoyed, but on the other side, it still was a predictable movie, even though the plot was somewhat interesting. It was not everything that I had expected from the film. I feel like if you enjoy in general, you know, 90s slashers, things like that, you might want to give this one a chance and see if you love it more maybe than I did. But yeah, nothing too special for me, so I only gave it 2 stars. Girl in the Picture is another documentary that I found on Netflix. They're coming out with so many documentaries that, you know, it's hard sometimes to catch up, but I try, especially if they are true crime documentaries. In this case, we follow the story of a woman that was killed and then her son was kidnapped. So we follow the police investigation, and we also hear the story through friends that she had and people that she had in her life. I don't really want to go into much specifics because I feel like this documentary has some twists and turns that I was like, excuse you. So it is a pretty good one, I would say. It is a very interesting story, and I love the way that they put it together. So if you like true crime documentaries, I feel like this one might be up your alley. Then also on Netflix, I watched Incantation, which is a new horror movie. It is a found footage film, and I did make a review about this one, and I really enjoyed it, and I feel like it kind of proved that found footage films are not dead. There is still room to bring something a little bit fresh to the screen. This is about a woman that has been carrying a curse and is trying to get rid of this curse before it hurts even more people around her, because this curse targets her loved ones. So in this movie, you are going to see, especially in the 3rd act, a lot of creepy images, a lot of disturbing scenes, and it gets really intense. I really enjoyed the 3rd act. It might be a little bit too long for some people, but I feel like if you love found footage films, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. It's also one of those movies that breaks the 4th wall, because our main character is talking to you directly, and it's kind of pleading to you and asking you to pray with her to try to remove this curse. It's definitely a movie that I went into without too many expectations, and actually enjoyed it more than I thought. Then we returned to the cinema to watch a new release, Thor: Love and Thunder. So when I went to see this movie, this is another one that I went to the movies with really low expectations, and I thought, you know, I'm just gonna be happy if I can have a good time. And the movies are entertaining, and honestly, I did laugh throughout the film. I thought there were some jokes that were funny. Some of them were a little bit forced and didn't really work, but other ones really worked. I mean, goats work every time. But I have to say that specifically for this Thor movie, the whole story was really messy, the way that they edited and put it all together. And there were some moments where you can tell that the CGI was really rushed, and it's a pity because the concept in general for this film, the idea that they had, I think it's interesting and it's nice, and at least they brought new characters into the film, so to make it even more, you know, interesting and entertaining. I just feel like it didn't reach its full potential, and it is not really good Marvel quality. But that being said, it was kind of entertaining. I had kind of a good time, so, you know, it's not the worst Marvel film that I have seen this year. And I've always loved Thor as a character, so, you know, it was fun for what it was. Now let's go back to horror, shall we? So I'm here to talk again to you about Speak No Evil. This is a movie that I knew it was a horror thriller and I didn't know exactly what to expect, and when I watched it in the cinema I was blown away because this was a really intense movie, and it is a movie that really pushes you out of your comfort zone. It's going to show you a lot of things that you're gonna be frustrated about, but at the same time you're still so engaged with the film, and the ending is quite brutal. This is a movie about two families that meet in Italy during holidays, and the family kids start a friendship. So after the holidays they keep in touch, and one weekend the Danish family decides to visit the Dutch family for a weekend so that the kids can play again. And during the visit, you know, one of the families starts to behave a little bit weird and things are starting to turn into some awkward conversations. That's all I will tell you. If you want to see my full spoiler-free review, I also have it on my channel. But this is definitely one for people that are more into art house movies, and for people that like movies like Funny Games and The Strangers. I feel like if you love those, you might enjoy this one. Then while I was browsing Netflix, I realized that they had added a new horror movie that I had not seen. This rarely happens, so I knew that I had to check it out, and that is Corridor. Now this follows a kind of shy, lonely medical student that is happy to have a quiet flat where he can really focus and, you know, learn and study for his exams. And one day he meets the girl that lives upstairs, and they start a friendship that, you know, takes some turns for the worse, and our main character is put in a kind of a really uncomfortable position. Now this movie was really interesting because at times it felt a little bit claustrophobic. It is a movie that mostly just takes place in these like flats where our main characters live. It is a slow burner. It takes a while until something actually happens. And it is more about of a moody thriller with some horror into it. So it depends if this is your type of movie or not. This is a B movie, so it's also not a movie that has a really high budget or anything like that, but it might be a movie that you've never heard of because I hadn't, so it might be a hidden gem for some people. Another new release that I managed to watch in the month of July is She Will, that I also made a spoiler-free review for, and this is all about a woman that it is an actress, but she's already old and retired, and she has a double mastectomy. She's really struggling with everything, you know, getting older, and now her, you know, feminine body is being mutilated with this operation, with the surgery. So she decides after the surgery to go to a very quiet place, to go somewhere where she can just rest and where nobody bothers her, you know, no press, no nothing. So when Veronica gets to this Scottish countryside where she's supposed to rest, there's not much rest because she starts having some weird dreams, some weird nightmares, some weird visions, and she doesn't know what's happening to her. Now this is a movie that it is a feminist film about revenge, and it does deal with you know, the Me Too movement in a way. It is a movie about witchcraft as well. I feel like this film had really good things going for it, but also a lot of things that went against it. I don't feel like all the points came across as well as they could have. I feel like the horror was not really exploited, and yeah, I feel like they missed the mark in a lot of places and it was a little bit messy, but I would still say that this is worth a watch for one time. I did like the atmosphere that the movie had and the cinematography, and there were some really nice creepy images as well, so I feel like for one time it is a decent watch. And then I decided to finally watch one of those horror movies that I have on my watch list and that I have been meaning to watch for some time, and that is Don't Hang Up. So I feel like I never was really in the mood to watch this one because I thought I already knew what the movie was gonna be about. It's not quite exactly what I had in mind, but it is something that we have seen before. However, it did have some nice moments, I have to say. I have to admit that. This is about a group of friends, male friends, that decide that it's fun to prank people and call them. And you know, the type of pranks that they do are quite intense, and it is only, you know, about time that someone is gonna get hurt. So at some point, these guys that are doing the pranks are the target of some killer, and they have to figure out who's coming for them in case that, you know, they are still in time to stop this person. That's all I'm gonna say, because obviously, you know, I cannot tell you too much, so that I don't spoil the movie for you. So what you can expect here is a group of teenagers that are being terrorized by a killer, and they have to figure out who the killer is, and they have to make decisions, and people are gonna get hurt, and the killer is playing a game with them. Yeah, that's what I can tell you. So, you know, it is kind of predictable, but I feel like still for a one-time watch, it was not as bad as I thought. Now we have a classic. Well, it's not really a classic, but it is a movie that I had seen before, and I decided it was time to rewatch it because it had been so long since I watched it last that I had forgotten a lot about it, and that is Valentine. And as the title implies, this is a movie about a killer that starts sending his victims Valentine cards right before he kills them, and all the victims are friends and connected, so they need to figure out who is targeting them before it is too late. Now, this film, if you watch it nowadays, if you've never seen it before, it's going to be so overacted and cheesy that you might not enjoy it. But I really had a good time with it because I have seen it before, and also there is some really nice death scenes in this film, to be honest. But I think it's just a lot of fun. If you like slashers, you have to make sure that you've watched this one. And now a round of applause, because I was finally able to go and watch The Black Phone after waiting for so long, and I'm happy to report that I was not disappointed, I was not let down by this film, and I am so happy. I also have a video, a spoiler-free review of the film where I go a little bit more in depth, but what I can tell you is this film is based on a short horror story by Joe Hill. The story is about a man known in the neighborhood as the Grabber because he kidnaps children on broad daylight, and those kids are never seen again, they're never found again, not even bodies are found again. And in the film we follow Finney and his sister Wen, and one day Finney is kidnapped by the Grabber, and this is the story of what happened to him after he was kidnapped. So this movie also deals with a lot of heavier topics like child abuse and substance abuse, bullying. Like, it is a really dark film, and it is a movie set in the 70s, and the way that they did all the color grading and the soundtrack, everything was so perfectly chosen. I really love this film, and I feel like Ethan Hawke as the villain worked fantastically as well. Definitely gonna rewatch this one. This might be one of my favorites of 2022. We shall see what happens before the year ends. But to be fair, I really recommend this one to you guys. And now we move on to another documentary that I watched on Netflix. It's called hashtag Anne Frank Parallel Stories, and it is all about, you know, Anne Frank and what happened to her, concentration camps, and other victims that survived the concentration camps. So what I liked about this documentary, even though it was not perfect or not the best one that I have seen, is that we have Helen Mirren, that it is kind of reading out loud you know, pieces of Anne's diary, and we don't only follow Anne Frank's story, which we all have heard so many times before, but we get to hear about other people that have survived these camps and now live in Italy, France, and it was just so nice to get to know the other stories, because I feel like when it comes to, you know, the Nazis and the concentration camps, the most stories that we know are the ones, you know, like Anne Frank, that are repeated over and over again. So I really like that they try to highlight other stories. And the last movie that I got to watch in July, and I just literally watched it last night in the cinema because it was the first time that it was running in the cinema, and I made sure I was there ready for it. It is Where the Crow Does Sing. Abandoned by her family, Kaya raises herself all alone in the marshes outside of her small town, When her former boyfriend is found dead, Kaya is instantly branded by the local townspeople and law enforcement as the prime suspect for this murder. So we follow Kaya. She basically has been abandoned by everybody that she ever loved, and she was left alone all by herself in nature, where she had to learn how to get food, how to cook, how to get water. She has no electricity. We are in the 60s, and it is such a beautiful story. This movie was so powerful, so intense, and it was so like engaging. Like, time flew by. Even though this movie is over 2 hours long, it never felt boring at all. So we follow Kaya at the beginning of the film while she's growing up, and then after that we basically are following the trial that is happening at the moment, the murder trial, and we get flashbacks of Kaya's past that are kind of explaining, you know, things that are being said in the trial or things that Kaya's feeling at the moment. The way this movie was edited and put together, it was just absolutely stunning and fantastic. The cinematography is just out of this world. This movie was so good. It is not a horror movie, but I'm considering making a movie review on this one because I just loved it so much. So if you're looking for a good thriller, a kind of murder mystery with some drama, it's heavy on the drama side, this film, I would say. Give this one a watch. Please give this one a watch. This is such a good movie. I feel like everybody has to watch it. I'm gonna recommend it to everybody. I really enjoyed it. If you also love movies like The Nightingale, I think you could compare it a little bit to that one. So yeah, definitely recommend. When it comes to series, I didn't really watch much. We finished watching The Boys season 3, and I have to say the second half of season 3 I enjoyed a lot more than the first half. And the other thing that I have watched on Netflix also just like yesterday is Keep Breathing, which is a limited series of just 6 episodes under 40 minutes. And it is all about this girl that she goes into a plane to try to get to an island. The plane crashes. She's the only survivor, and she needs to basically survive in nature, knowing that nobody's coming to rescue her. Now, I was hoping that this movie was going to be a little bit more focused on her survival and what happens in the island, what she discovers in the island, but basically the plane crash and she being stranded in the island was more of an excuse to just let the character go through all of her trauma. So most of the show is just flashbacks to things that happened to her, to things that have traumatized her, things like that. So she's going through her grief and through all of her trauma. So sadly, it was not as exciting as it was hoping it was gonna be, and it left me wanting more. Alright guys, so that is everything that I watched in the month of July. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you thought about the things that I have been watching, and also recommend me some movies or some TV shows that you have been checking out lately and you think that I might enjoy. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!